So we've got both front and rear halves all back together again. The bearings turned up for the crown wheel for the diff, so they're in there and they work. So now, like I said the other day, we're going to get into the gear set and the selectors and get this all apart. Like I said, we pulled that out of the box as one unit, and that one actually was part of it as well, but that was the one that went down to our reverse idler. So I'll lay that one there with the two little detents, and these ones should stay together and just come off there. Slide them there for the moment, and I'll clean up and we'll bring the camera over here and show you what's in these. Okay, so we've got our shift forks and everything here and our reverse selector. Those two lock balls go into our reverse selector down in there and they sit in that. We're going to slide that off, give this all a clean up and get this grey metallic goop off of everything, and run through here and clean these all up and then put them aside while we put a fresh bearing on the output side of the shaft, and we'll check our synchros and cones and everything for any wear. But the gearbox was shifting okay until the clutch let go, and obviously that bearing. So this is our main input shaft. We're going to clean that up. It's just all grey residue from the metal that's been going through. Have a good look at the teeth, which, by what I can feel, everything is actually really good and none of the bearing material got in anywhere to actually chew it up. So we'll go through that. I'll probably do this shaft first, and I'll get this last bearing off of this one, and we'll get around to putting the new bearing on there with that all washed up and cleaned up. We'll do the same on here. Then it's ready to just wash all of that stuff and start stacking it in them. Right, so we've got our main input shaft gently in the vise on a part that's not actually running on any kind of bearing surface or anything like that. And we've got a circlip up this end that retains that bearing. Now, it's kind of awkward on your own, but I've got a pair of circlip pliers. Going to spread them so it's on the tip of the clip, and they say in the instructions to give it a gentle tap with a hammer and then catch it with a rag. I don't have that many hands, so what I've done is I've just put it on there and then you just work it backwards and forwards and spread it a little bit, and it pops off and you catch it in the rag. And above that was a little spacer collar, so we'll lay them out on the bench in the order we've taken them off. Now, the next thing is this bearing is to come off, which I'm probably going to have to see if I can find my bearing puller and try and just catch it under the edge there, and it should lift off fairly easily, because we don't want to pry against any of the gears or anything like that. And that's still holding on there quite reasonably. Right. So I'll get the gear puller or the bearing puller and we'll pop it on there. Hopefully we get this one to sit between the bearing and the gear and pull it off. If not, there is a groove there, we might be able to grab that and it might take the bearing apart in pieces. So first off though, we'll try bottom one. Might do. Poor thing might not be big enough. Let's see what happens. Take it off altogether. No, I'm gonna need the next size up, which I don't think I have. Dropping stuff. Okay, so we've got it on there. It's not ideal, but it should have the next size splitter up. I don't have one, so this is the only one I've got. So if we just go slowly, hopefully it comes up without any issue. There we go. Now we'll lay that one down the direction it came off. And the next bit, should go get my glasses so I can see. Clean up some of that. Now this should all, here we go, just slide up. Now this one is our first gear and cone. So it's got the synchro cone on there, and what we're going to do, give that a clean, and you're going to want to look for any marks on there, any cracks, any wear. The synchros in this are actually in really good nick. For the amount of K's on it, it's pretty damn good. You could put a tiny bit of fine lapping paste on there and lap the synchro to it, but we're going to leave well enough alone. So that came off. And we've got replacement ones of these in the kit as well. A pair of half split roller, needle roller bearings. So I'll pop that with it so we know which one came from which. And then we have to get our hub off. Once we take our spacer. Pop that under there. Now this is going to have another one of those damn circlets we have to try and get off. Now here you want to be a little bit careful. We don't want to bump that. That's our shift hub, I suppose. And it's got our brass synchros on either side. So that synchro cone inside works against our cone there. And if we put light pressure against it and turn it, it should break. Well, not break, stop. And we can't slip it. And we also need to check that clearance there. Now the Toyota manual was saying anywhere between 0.75 and 1 point something mil gap. So their tolerance sheet is got a huge spread on it. And that actually looks pretty good. So we'll pop that there. And that hub can slide up and down and pop off, and then we'll have springs and stuff go everywhere. But if we're gentle, keep it all intact, pop our rag around the back again. The opening of the circlet's facing this way. And this one actually looks big enough that we might be able to get a proper set of pliers on there and actually get the thing off. The other ones have always been too small. No, this way. Come on. No. Go back to the one that worked. Except this one, it won't. Just fluke the first one. Come on. The other one just sprung out of there. This is just not happy. So the way the Toyota manual says to do it is to tap it with 2 screwdrivers and a hammer. So there. If we chuck this there, and they say screwdriver there, there, to hold pressure against it, and we'll try with a pair of screwdrivers the same size, huh? Might make it a bit easier. And we there we go. this hub, I don't want that to come off. Come on, don't. Where is it? That should slide up. Maybe if we go around slowly. Nope. Why? Is that playing that game? Okay, so we may have to try and press that off somehow, but I didn't want to press on it because I don't want to damage the teeth on the gear. I'll put it over here and have a bit of a think about it. Okay, so I've made the decision that hub's not coming off. I can't get one in Australia at the moment. I can't even get synchro rings in Australia. So I'm just going to go through, and this is the decision we've had to make. We're going to rebuild it to the point of it functions and there's no broken parts in there. It was working before. I don't want to push my luck and then break the hub, chip a gear, because at the moment they're okay. So I've cleaned up all of that, washed it all out, given it a light coat of oil, and now I'm going to hopefully not have these springs fly out everywhere and put these keys back in the synchro. Slide him down into place. Okay, so we've got 2 of the 3. One last one. We've already put our spring in there. Slide the collar down so we can push the spring in and take our little lock plate, put him in on a bit of an angle, slides past, clip him into place, and then we should be able to hold all 3 in place like that. Spins. Oop. It's locked. Okay, so they're all sitting where they need to be. The next step is the split needle roller bearing. We've matched that up with one out of our kit, and that is inside of this gear and cone assembly. So I've put the circlip back on, I've got our spacer ring back on. And now that synchro ring has 3 cutouts that'll line up with those little bosses and drop back in. Cool. And then, after we put that bearing and pieces in the rubbish, the last step is this next clip. No. The next bit is we have to put our bearing back on, and we match that up with the other bearing by the part numbers, and it went on that way. And then that circlip will end up going in that groove there. Once we get this home. All right, I'll find something to press that on with, and we'll go over to the press and pushing on. Right, so we've got that set of gears and the last bearing pressed home and into place. I've put a light drizzle of gear oil on all the bearings in the front half of the casing, and we're ready to drop the selector forks onto them and then slide it all down into the housing in one go. Or that's the plan anyway. That's how it came apart. Whether it goes back in that way or not, we might have something. Okay, so we've got both of the casings all cleaned up. We've given it a hit with brake cleaner around there to remove any oily residue. We've got the single detent back in there in the front half of the casing for the one selector. The rest of them are in the back half, and everything's in neutral. Reverse idler is in, shaft for the reverse idler is in, and timed so that the threaded bolt hole for the pin lines up with just there. Now it's ready to put a bead of RTV 3-bond around the casing and join them together. Right, so I got that plate flat again, and we've Loctited the 5 bolts in that hold that one in, and we're ready to seal up, we're ready to place 5th gear, synchro and selector hub on the back, and then reseal it up with the cover. But that'll be another video. And like I said, these are starting to get long and they're fairly tedious and they are quite boring, but if they help someone out, they help someone out. So I'll leave this one here for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And the next one, we'll be getting 5th gear on the back and it's ready to go back in the car. All right, see you soon.